You're watching the Edward Fowler Show. Now, here's your host, Edward Fowler.
And a very good evening to you all here on youtube.com/Edward Fowler. Before we begin the episode, though, I got to say that I owe an apology to you, Greg, because I did book you in for tonight's episode, but then I completely forgot about it. I apologise. And then last night I got a lovely email from Wes. Shout out to Wes for sending this up, by the way. And he emailed me saying, can you send me over the Zoom link for tonight? And I completely forgot that you were on the show tonight. So my sincere apologies for you, by the way. But I thought I'd just be honest to you. And I just thought I'd let you know, just apologise before we begin. So it's a pleasure to have on Greg Weaver from Hush Money. You are the drummer and the vocalist, I believe, from what I've been given. So it's a pleasure to have you on from across the pond, because you are you're from Georgia, obviously. So I wouldn't expect you to be over here at the moment, but you might be. In the mountains, I love it. And if you are watching this live on YouTube, I would recommend you to, to leave a comment in our live chat, because I've got some great new graphics now. So when someone comments, I can actually display it on the screen as we are talking. Other graphics we've got as well, just to point out, is that above my head, there's now a live subscriber count, so you can see exactly how many subscribers I have there on YouTube as well. So how are things for you this year? I know you guys have been releasing a lot of music so far, which is great to see. So how has all that been going for you, and how the feedback been? Yeah, absolutely. It's been it's a great time for you guys, and I'm glad you're taking risks as well. I think that's important to do, I think. Would you agree? Yeah.
The risk, you know. It's just, it is part of it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And we got to say as well, due to my little testing of things, unfortunately there's an issue with my with the fact that we couldn't hear you. I could hear you, but nobody else could. So my apologies for that. We can now hear you loud and clear. I just want to point that out. So apologies for that. For people who are listening to this on YouTube, but we've now fixed that audio. But basically, you were just saying about taking risks are, sometimes you got to take risks because you won't
you have
know
to.
if they will work out or not, isn't it? I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anything worth doing is worth risking. It's one of those things like if you believe in it strong enough, then you have to be able to put it all on the line. And I think that's part of what we have done. Coming from the first our two EPs of Volume One and Volume Two, and then Industry Standard. It's all been very straightforward rock and roll type, and then we kind of faded into an outlaw country southern rock vibe in this new album. So it's very much it was a risk. I mean, because you go from hard, from I don't want to call it aggressive rock and roll, but it was just rock and roll, into something, So, but it is it's a risk, but I think anything worth doing is worth risking everything on to make sure that you get who you are out there. I think that's important to showcase who you actually are.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with the fact that as well. 'Cause you got to get yourself out there, and you got to take risks to grow your fan base with all these different, you know, social medias nowadays with different streaming. A lot of, it's not very much of a, there's so many different bands in the same niche as yourself. So you got to put yourself out there even more than probably 5 years ago.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with that, and I think something like you said, there's so many bands out there that are kind of in the same genre niche, however you want to describe it, that we have to figure out a way to separate ourselves. And I think that we have successfully found a way to do that within because one of the best compliments that we get everywhere we go is I can't put my finger on who you sound like.
Yeah,
It is just you sound like you. And I think that's a great compliment. That means that we're getting across what we're trying to. We're accomplishing that in the fact that we're able to individualize our music and who we are. And a big attributor to that is that we have three lead vocalists. Myself, Seth, and Caleb. You get three different sounds. So I'm more of like your higher register, a little bit more rock and roll. Seth is like your mid ground, your more Tom Petty style. I don't say easy listening, but in that vein. But then Caleb's more of your lower register, has a much more grungy edge slash country vibe to him. So it's we cover a lot of different bases, and I think that's important because we tell everyone when you come to a Hush Money show, it's a little bit something for everybody, and I think that's important that every member in your audience feels like that they're reached, and I think that we're successfully doing that at this point. We found a recipe that enables us to be able to do that, and I think that's important.
indeed, indeed you have. And for anyone who goes from my side of things who are a subscriber to this channel, or listening to this elsewhere, may have never heard of Hush Money. Can you give us a brief history about yourselves, about how you guys, I guess, got the name as well of Hush Money? Because it's a unique name. It stands you out from the rest of the pack in a good way. Because you have to nowadays with all these different genres of music and different bands in the same niche who are all fighting for the same thing, which you and your bandmates are.
So a brief history of how we kind of got started. So Seth is my brother, and Nathaniel, our bass player, is mine and Seth's first cousin. Our dad and his mom are siblings, and so when we were kids, Seth and Nathaniel just started kind of learning their individual instruments there. Then they started jamming together, and they're like, "Hey, we need a drummer." And I'm like, "I don't know how to play drums." They're like, "Well, you need to figure it out." So that's what it is. So I started playing drums, and we started jamming a little bit, and we put together a little 3-piece, and we were playing some small barbecue festivals, and we were playing in people's backyards for practice essentially and stuff like that. And we did that for a little bit until we met. I met Caleb in a biology class at college. We were doing the always awkward introduction area of the or segment of the beginning of class, and I raised my hand. My name is Greg. I play drums, and we are looking for a lead guitarist. And Caleb raised his hand. He says, "My name is Caleb Logan, and I'm a lead guitarist." And so then we kind of got together and we started jamming. There was another guy that was with us for a little bit. And then we just kind of started jamming together and putting it all together. And we had a couple different band names, but we wanted something that really spoke about who we were. And it's funny because the name Hush Money comes from a time in our life when Seth was too young to be playing in the bars, and we were playing these little Mexican restaurants over here. We were the Thursday night house band for about a year, and they found out early on that we were not old enough to be in there, but we were drawing crowds and people were paying and staying for a long time, and we were selling lots of beer, and they enjoyed that. So they're like, "Hey, we really enjoy you guys. We're going to continue paying you, but you cannot tell anybody how old you are because that will get us in some serious trouble." Because you couldn't be in the bars under the age of 18 at that point. Well, Seth was about 15 years old. So that was a little bit of a sticking point, but we got through it. We were continuing to work through it. And now here we are, several years later, still grinding and still doing what we love. So, it kind of gave a name to how we got good and started. So I thought it was very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, you're doing fantastic things, and we can't wait to see what else you guys bring to the table, as I say. So, can you give us any teasers then of what is to come from you guys this year?
Oh, have to be careful here.
Love it.
I will say this: we are
just give it a teaser.
always working on new material. We are always writing, and we are always trying to put new stuff together. So it would not surprise me to know that there may be more than just this album coming. I'll just put it that way. And like I said, I have to be careful. But we never stop writing, and and I think that's important for artists, is to never stop. You can't get complacent. You have to always try to strive to be better. You always have to strive to write the next best song. You always have to try to expand your writing abilities, because this is just how we work. This is not speaking out towards anyone else. Because if you find somewhere that you can live and you love it and you're comfortable, a la AC/DC, then more power to you. Because look at AC/DC. They're one of the greatest bands, and they kind of set in a bucket, which is, don't get me wrong, I listen to AC/DC a lot, but we draw from a multitude of influences. So in Georgia, you have bluegrass music, you have gospel music, you have southern rock, you have country, outlaw country, blues, hip hop, R&B. We draw from a multitude. We are a melting pot. We try to attribute a lot of our writing to everything that we grew up listening to. So, like, it's funny when you listen to Need a Little Rain from the new album when it comes out. it has a very kind of in the same classic, I won't say doo-wop, but very classic strum pattern in Southern that is reminiscent of the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. And it's because folks like Otis Redding and Little Richard and some of those guys who just were immortalized, doing their stuff from the state of Georgia. It's amazing, So we're blessed to be in a location where we can draw from multiple influences and develop it into our own sound. So that's why we never stop writing, because we have unlimited resources of influences. Because one day Caleb may say, hey, I wrote this song and it sounds something like Otis Redding or all the Allman Brothers or anybody like that, has just, it's amazing, man. And that's why you will always hear something diverse from us. You'll never hear, I don't say never, but you're less likely to hear the same sound over and over and over from us than you are to hear us doing covering a wide spectrum of multiple genres. So I think I think that speaks to what we're able to accomplish and be able to take that and put it forward to the listener. So yeah, we're always working. We're always working. I tell everybody we may not be the most talented band out there, but we're going to outwork everybody because we work our tails off all the time. And I'm not taking away anything from our talent, but God gives people gifts that are a lot better than some of ours, but we're going to outwork them. We're going to be able to take the gifts and the talent that we do have and try to extrapolate those into something much greater than what it should have been to begin with. And that's how we work. We work hard, and that's all I can say to that.
Well, working hard is paying off for you guys, because I know especially on Facebook, you've got over 6,000 followers now, I believe. So that's very good doing over you're continuing to make sure you're getting content out and making sure you are keep writing, as you say, and doing the best you can do for you guys. I want to apologize as well if we did get a bit of lag a few moments ago, but it's all back to normal. Got to say though, you got to enjoy live technology sometimes. Sometimes it goes fantastically well, and other times it's like your worst enemy. So I hope that's not put you off. But speaking about when you just said, it's very interesting. You said you might not be the most talented band out there, but you're trying to do your best. I think you're doing quite well, by the way. I think you're not giving enough credit to yourself. I think you're doing a phenomenal job of putting content out there.
Thank you.
And you are building a great community on social media, and I'm sure on your streaming platforms as well. I know on YouTube as well. You've got, I think it's over like 500 subscribers, I want to say. Could be wrong, but I know you've got more than I do. So you're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, we never like to compare ourselves, and I know that sounds, an inverse of what I just said, but we don't necessarily like to compare ourselves to anyone as far as our ability, I guess. It's just, we like to say, I guess we never want to be complacent. Yeah. And so we try to maintain artistic integrity by saying, hey, I've got a better one in me. I've got a better one in me. And that's I think that's something that may ultimately be being lost on today, is that you have a lot of people who are complacent with their music. They're complacent with, like, if I I can just continue doing the same thing and hopefully eventually it sticks. I think that becoming better with your instrument, being a better vocalist, being a better writer, it's so imperative. You don't have many singer-songwriters or band writers anymore. Everyone is buying songs that somebody else is writing for them and stuff like that, which if that's how you want to make your living, more power to you, you know. But we thoroughly enjoy the writing and creative process. I think that's our release. That's our way to express who we are, is through creative writing and the creative process. We take a basic concept or basic idea and spend 4 or 5 hours together just trying to hammer it out and get the best out of it. So, you know, and I think that sometimes that um, just being thankful for the opportunity to be doing what we're doing, it keeps us from saying, "Oh, well, this song is amazing. I don't understand why you're not listening to it." But you know, it's one of those things. It's like we have to maintain being humble and just being thankful for the time that we're given, and being complacent. Um, Not being complacent. I know that sounds, you know, it's we, you know, that's where we're at. You know, we're always trying to get better, always trying to be work harder, and so yeah, like I said, you know, we don't have a Joe Satriani or you know, a Don Bag Daryl in our group or anything like that. But you know, and that's kind of, you know, but we have us. We have the Hush Money sound, and I think that's important. And you know, one of my favorite compliments I've ever gotten as a drummer was Matt Washburn, who does our producing and recording, producing everything. Matt over at Lead Belly he's aces, man. He told me one time, he goes, Greg does a really good job giving the song exactly what it needs. He doesn't overplay. He doesn't do too much. He doesn't try to be the star of the show as a rhythm section, you know, and I thought that was very, very important. And because that's us working together as a group. It's our group doing exactly what the song needs to build a unit. So we're working together as a unit to build a good product. And I think that's important, you know, because we've all, you know, there's no egos in our group. We don't have anybody saying, hey, this song is the best song and this is the one we're recording. They bring it to the table, and if 3 out of 4 go, well, this sounds like shit, then, you know, we're good. We're good. You know, so, but I mean, very rarely does it happen. But, you know, I brought songs to the table and like, maybe sell that to someone, you know.
Well, it took us a while. It took us a while to get there, but yes, we got our swear word in this show now, so we're happy about that. So there we go. You weren't truly a rock band until we dropped some swear words on the show.
No, but you know, it's just, and I don't know. I just feel like that you know, not having an ego and allowing everyone to bring something to the table to work as a collaborative unit, it's a lost art form. You always have that guy who's like, no, we're going to do things my way because I know better than everyone else, and we just don't have that. We're like, you know, okay, it's a democratic vote. If 3 out of 4 is in agreement, then cool, let's run it. You know, what have you. So because I know on this last album, I was outvoted on a couple songs, and on the before, there was a couple others outvoted on a couple songs. So, you know, I don't know. I'm glad that I work with a group of guys that are willing to learn and work and get better every day. That's my, you know, that's what makes me happy about our group.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a shout out as well to, we mentioned on the screen, I got it to work. Don't know what I did, but I got it to work. We've got live comments now on the screen. So if you want to leave a comment, and it will appear on the live screen as well. We've got Jamie in the chat room. He says, hi, Eddie, and thank you for checking out the video, Jamie. Good to see you around. And so it just proves you that this is a live show, and live comments will appear now on the screen. So apologies to Wes, who is in the live chat earlier. Don't know why your comments didn't show up in my chat box here to put on the screen, so my apologies, but you are very much welcome to leave your comments as well, as I know that you mentioned about the audio issue side of things early on, so it was much appreciated for you there. But again, I don't know why your comments were not showing up for me to show on screen, because I would have done that. But anyway, but I love it. I love the story, Greg, and I want to know as well, when you guys are creating, you know, ideas for possible singles or albums, have you got a special place you go and get all these ideas, or do they just come when you're all in the same room together? What's the process? And I thought you would have the overall say in what songs are made. So who's overriding you? Because maybe I should come over there and tell them who's the boss, and that Greg here is the boss. What do you think?
So songs they'll hit you from any direction. Caleb tells a story about the song at the end of the new album, Go Back Home, called It Ain't Love, that he woke up in the middle of the night and had to write it down because he was dreaming of this song and he was singing it in his dreams, and he woke up and he's like, wait a minute, that's not a song, that's my song. So he had to get up and write it. His wife was not happy about this in the middle of the night, but it did happen. But it can hit us from anywhere, man. We have driving down the road. I've had songs when, from a perspective like San Antonio Dreams, probably one of my favorite from this new album, and I've told everybody this, but it's probably one of my favorite, most near and dear to my heart. I wrote it about my wife and her time that she lived in San Antonio, Texas. It was a very short stint, but she kind of told me some stories about it and how much it made an impact on her. And I wrote the song based on her life experience, and it's important to me just because that event in her life led her to me, and so that's it's important. It's an important story in her life. So it comes from everywhere, man. Seth wrote No Questions, which this isn't, I guess this is the first time we've been heard, but that will be our new single coming up in the next little bit. So this is the first time anybody's heard that.
Perfect. Thank you for that on my show.
Yeah. So
exclusive, breaking news. There we go.
Breaking news. But Seth wrote that at work, and so it can come from anywhere. And so when we get into the deliberation process, we sit down. They're like, hey, I've got this melody, I've got these words. Tell me what you think. They're like, all right. So this sucks, but we can use this, and we can pull this in to put it here. And we start pulling all the little tools from the tool chest and put it all together, and then you get what you hear. And so what we do is, like, I'll have an idea for a drum part. Seth's like, can you try this instead? And Caleb's like, I like that, but try this instead. And so we'll go through and we'll play the entire piece and say, we'll try all three bits. I was like, all right, what sounds best? So yeah, it's a long deliberation process, typically putting stuff together. But I think that, it's important because it allows every individual in the group to have their piece and their mark on the track itself. Some we work a little more on, some we work a little less on. So it just depends on the where we're at. But and as far as like who the leader is, I would say everyone calls me the mom of the group because I handle everything. I handle all the booking, and I handle all the finances, and I handle, I'm the direct contact with the PR, and I'll make sure Wes doesn't send you a nasty letter about not letting him be in the live chat. But no, it's just, and I handle most of that. So yeah, it's like every group needs a mom. They need somebody to handle that, but it's not like everybody doesn't pull their weight. And so when the decisions are to be made, I typically bring it to the table. I'm like, hey, like we've got a show coming up, or somebody has approached us about a show. I'll throw it in the group chat. I'm like, hey, this date, this time, this money, what do y'all think? And everybody's like, yes or no, or I'm yes, or 3 no's, and we're out. So it's just, I hate to say it, but it is a fully democratic type group. We absolutely, everyone has a fourth of a say, and I think it's extremely important, because if you don't have that, then you risk turmoil. And for us to have been together as long as we have, with the same four members producing the music that we're producing, where we rehearse together countless hours and on the road for countless hours, and flights and staying in hotels and sharing beds and sleeping on the floors and all that stuff. It's pretty remarkable if you think about it, because we've been releasing music on platforms since 2016, and that is just when we started releasing music. I'll just put it that way. So it's been we're I mean, yeah, Seth is my brother, Nathaniel's family, but we're all brothers, and it is we've got each other's back through everything. So yeah, it's a full democratic group. No one has any more say than the other, and there is no egos amongst us. We're very accepting. If my idea gets voted out, then I say, okay, that's where we're at. We move on. And I think that as a as grown responsible men, that's our obligation to not necessarily get upset because things don't go exactly how we want them to. We just have to compromise, move on. So, and it's important that we're able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Wes has just commented. We showed it live on the screen. 2 laughing out emojis. So there you go, Wes. It does work. I'm not, as I said, it wasn't nothing to do with you. The graphic wasn't working at the time. It's now working fine, and it's great. This is great. I've now modernized, and I apologize that you were the guinea pig for me trying all this equipment out. Some of it's worked quite well, some hasn't. So I will go back to the drawing board. But I hope that whatever Wes has said for you to come on my show tonight, I hope it hasn't given you a bad impression because
no, not at all. This has been great.
Good to hear. This is all live. It's live. This is live. I don't know how many live shows you get the privilege of doing at the time, because most of them probably are pre-recorded and come out at a later date. But this is completely 100% live. And I got to say, well, since we've been on the air, I began this episode with 296. 297 I'm on now, so we're getting closer to my goal of 300 subscribers. That's how many I want, 300. So if you can help me get 300 subscribers despite all the bad technology so far, apologies for that, but we are having a fantastic time here this evening with my guests. I got to mention as well, if you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, then you're going to miss out this next bit, because I want to pay focus now to your scenery behind you. I can see Abbey Road, I think, is behind you, yes, with the Beatles, I want to say. Tell us about that picture for you. What's so inspirational for that picture to have it framed right behind you for this lovely chat?
So that particular piece is probably one of the most important pieces that I have in my house, and part of that is because it's a puzzle. Okay. My grandmother put that together for me for my birthday one year, and she glued it and framed it for me because she knew how much I love the Beatles and how much of an influence they are on me, and she put that together for me. And so now it will forever hang in my house, because I mean, it's so important, because going off the path here a little bit, my family is probably the single most important thing to, and just about everyone, all of us in our group. And so, and I'm no exception to that. And so my Nanny Weaver, she made that for me, and it's extremely special. But she also knew how much the Beatles meant to me and she was growing up during the Beatlemania, and she knew that it was going on. So she understands the importance of how important they are to me. So, but yeah, that one's a very, very important piece to me, and not just because it's the Beatles, but because it does come from my grandmother. But
yeah.
But the Beatles, like I said, I mean, if you're not influenced by the Beatles, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
Yes.
I mean, those guys.
Yeah, I don't think I personally am, I guess, Beatlemania, but because, of course, they are from Liverpool, of course, I'm from Manchester, so we've got our own our own music history, you know. So
Yep.
I will pick anybody from Manchester over Beatlemania any other week.
Oh
But I want to
no.
know though, do you know how long it took your grandmother to put all the pieces together and to frame it? Do you know how long it took her, or?
I don't know. I mean, it was probably at least a month or so, or
Wow.
dependent on just her working on it periodically and stuff like that. So probably about a month or so to
Wow.
really get
That
it
is
where it
that
needed to be.
that is dedication right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is dedication right there. So I'm glad that you are able
Then
to
this
keep it
this
hanging.
other piece right here is a piece of fan art. Actually, we had one of our fans paint that for us, and that was
Wow.
gifted to. Yeah, so
That's
that's a piece of fan art. So
yeah.
that one's pretty cool. That one's we long story short, we have a distributor here in about 30 minutes from our home in Blue Ridge, Georgia, called Big Frog Music, and Cindy Webb is the owner of this little record shop, and it is an old school record shop. You're not going to find novelty stuff in this shop. When I mean you're finding classic rock and roll records, the good stuff. You're not finding a lot of um, modern rock, a lot of modern hip hop or pop or modern country, anything like. You're not going to find that there. You're going to find basically. Cindy's always told me, she goes, if I don't like it, it's not in my shop. so and
Wow.
so that's just kind of how it's been. But it is very much the classic vinyl shop. So she has sold, I won't say the number for this year, but a significant amount of merchandise, records, and vinyl records, CDs of all sorts, hats, whatever we dump on her, she takes it and sells it. I mean, we at this point, and we have sold almost 1,000 copies of the new record between CDs and vinyl out of her shop. So I mean, that to me is crazy. Like we don't have a massive retail distribution, but for her to be able to do what she's doing, unreal. If anyone from the UK orders anything from our online shop, it's coming from her store because she handles all of our distribution as well. She is what we call the fifth member of Hush Money. She is the unsung hero. She makes the wheels go round. So if anybody from our local area is listening, go to Big Frog Music. Go support Miss Cindy. She is the absolute best. She's become family to us. I mean, to the point where she's getting my kids Christmas gifts. So I can't say enough about her. She is absolutely amazing.
Shout out to Cindy. I'm wondering if Cindy will be listening to this or watching this and thinking, oh, please stop talking about me, stop talking about me, or maybe she's embracing it. Maybe she'll be
She loves it.
embracing it. So,
The
so
back of On the back of our Go Back Home record, there is a. I'm not joking. On the back of our Go
yeah,
Back Home record, there is a shout out to Cindy Webb
love
of
it.
Big Frog Music from Blue Ridge, Georgia, on it. And every single person that comes into that record shop and she shows our music to, she turns it over and says, "Look, my name's on the back of this record. That's my name." And then she's signing our records when people are buying them
Yeah,
because her name's on it. So she loves it.
love
I
it.
promise you. She is 100% bought in. She tells me all the time that she does it because she loves us and wants us to succeed. And you have to have several folks like that in your corner to be able to do what we're doing. This is not a four-man group that is taking on the world. We have a community that is behind us, and we would not be anywhere without our community, without our fan base, without our families. Like she is a big part of what we do, and it's because she's bought in, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. She's a phenomenal lady, and we love her.
Yeah, Wes has piped in as well to say that legend. UK buyers have been super happy with ordering and surprisingly quick delivery. Well, that's what we want. We want quick delivery, don't we, in the UK? So that's great news. And shout out to Cindy. And it's good that she's doing a phenomenal job and is helping you guys tremendously out. So keep up the fantastic work, Cindy. And as you continue to grow, I hope that Cindy will continue to be very much active and very much involved with the process, and maybe even hire a few more people to help her if needed in the future as well.
That's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping. She told me that when we go, like if we start traveling extensively, she's going to come be our merchandising
Oh, I
lady.
love
And I
that.
said, I'm in. I'm in. Yeah. Yeah, I said you're ready to go. So
Well, speaking about international, then let's talk about. Of course, you're in the US. I'm here in England. So,
mhm.
any plans to come over here to tour anytime soon?
Yes.
You had to think about that answer there. I seen that. Like,
Have to be careful.
can
Have to
I
be
can I
careful.
say this? Can I not say this? Okay.
Yeah. Don't shoot me, Wes. No,
He'd be shooting
no,
me
no,
instead, right? I see that. Because again, by the way, just to let you know, this is has not been prepared. Again, my show is off the cuff. This is an unscripted show.
good.
This is what I like. We like
Yeah,
to make sure my guests are making sure they use their brains, use their knowledge before giving me
so
answers. This is why it's not prepped. This is not
yeah,
pre-prepared.
it's
My
great. This is
guests have
great.
no idea what I'm going to say. Even I have no idea what I'm going to say next, and that's the bottom line truth, ladies and gentlemen.
Makes it real. Makes it
Yes,
real. I love it.
authentic.
But no, we do have plans to come back. We haven't announced anything. There's nothing. We'll say that. But we have the support to return, and you know the our first tour over was, we'll call it a fact finding mission. Um, and we found out that we love it over there. We love the people. We love the territory that we everything. I mean, we stayed in the Peak District while we were there, man, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. It reminded us of home. In the hills and the mountains and stuff like that. It reminded us so much of home, and the people were phenomenal. I've had, we stayed in Manchester for a night. We were in Edinburgh for a night. We're in Newcastle for a night. We were in Sheffield. We were in a lot in these places, and I don't think there was any place where we just felt like anyone didn't want us there, and that was amazing. That was, even here at home, sometimes you get that you get that. Hey, what are you doing here? And we didn't get that at all while we were over there. So we felt like we were at home. They treated us like we were family, and we couldn't be more thankful for that. So just based on our experience of the music scene and the people, we absolutely want to come back. And now that we look at the numbers and we see who's listening and where they're listening from, it kind of reaffirms that it wasn't just a one-off. So we definitely have plans to come back, hopefully more extensively. We're hoping to do a little wider venture, but it was we definitely want to come back. I've yet to find anywhere over here to get a proper steak and ale pie, so I'm excited about coming back, at least to get to eat anyway. So
Yes, yes. Why not? Why not? Well, I'm glad that when you did come over here, that everyone was very welcoming to you, and that you felt like home with all our lovely mountains and hilltops, and there's some beautiful scenery here in the
yes,
UK. There's many people who live here, and they don't want to explore this area. They just go away, go abroad, and there's actually loads of fantastic scenery right here on your doorstep. So, but I never
absolutely.
knew that there was hills or mountains in Georgia. Because whenever I've seen Georgia, I've always seen flat places, or I've seen, of course, the Georgia, is it the Bulldogs in the college football?
That's our college football.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. There you go. So just my knowledge there. So that's all I've seen. That's it. And of course, Georgia Tech as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are definitely more urban areas. Where we're from is
That's
very
why.
rural. Yeah, and so where we're from, man, it's a whole different. We live a lot slower here than everyone else. Um, we're agricultural based, so we have chicken houses, chicken farms. We have apple houses. We have um, all kinds of farms. We grow peaches and strawberries and stuff like that around here, and it's very it's very small town living, where we're from. So for in it honest, and I know this sounds funny, but like, it was a big deal for us to leave and come to the UK. It was, we had people stopping us in the superstores, a Walmart or the grocery store or anything, stopping us and going, "Hey, I saw you guys were going to the UK. That's amazing." People we don't even know, like they're like, "Hey, this is amazing." I finally started listening to you guys. Well, we've been here for a long time. Why have you not been listening before?
Yeah.
But but I'm glad you're listening now.
Yeah.
So, and so for us to pack up and go from a small town and be from a rural area to do something of that magnitude was important. It was important that people from our hometown know that there is an art district. There's a strong community of artists around here, and we do have a lot of singer songwriters in our town, and it's amazing to watch it grow. um, I don't want to, by any means, I do not want to say that we're on the forefront of stuff like this, but like we have been doing the acoustic gigs and at the wineries and the stuff like that. We did that for a long time. That's essentially what funded Industry Standard during COVID. Is we started playing a lot of acoustic stuff coming out of that when things were slow to open back up and they were kind of getting their funds and their feet back under them. They could only afford an acoustic act, not a full band. So we attributed the finances to from all of that into building Industry Standard. So we come from a rich history of bluegrass and acoustic folk type music, which obviously that's from our ancestors over your way. So and it's important that we continue to pay homage to that. But it's important for a lot of people to know that there is a true music scene in the mountains area up here. It's very, very important.
Well, I've learned something new today. That's something I read out because I never knew there was mountains in Georgia. So apologies to anyone who's subscribed to this channel from Georgia. I apologize that I was not aware of that. I just thought it was a flat place. So apologies for that.
We live in the mountains. We live way on top of the mountain up here where I'm at.
Love it. Talk to me about, I guess, because in the title of this video, which we briefly mentioned but kind of skipped over, but in my title of the video, I actually have put the title of a album here, which you have released recently, called "Go Back Home."
Yes,
that is in my YouTube title of this video. So before people say, "Oh, you never talked about it, really," so don't let people say, "Oh, it's just clickbait." This is not clickbait. We're finally going to mention it right now. What has been the reaction behind that, and what made you guys to name the album that as well?
So we have done what we call a hybrid release of Go Back Home. You can buy the vinyl, you can buy the CD on our website or through Big Frog Music or at a live show. So you can buy that, but it's not available digitally yet. So if you want to hear the full thing, you've got to order it. At this point, we will eventually release it all digitally. But we did that to help kind of recuperate some of our studio costs because it's very, very expensive to do all that. So it's been very, very beneficial. I'd say we're getting close to being break-even point, so that's good.
Yes, that's good indeed.
But so the title of Go Back Home, it's because a lot of these songs are from our home, from our experiences throughout life. It's just stories from around here. So one of the songs on the album that we haven't released yet is called Copper Hill, and it talks about a little mining town that's an hour from us, where the copper mines all came in. The people they mined all the hills for copper, and then they just left because it was cheaper to mine it elsewhere. They packed up and left the town ravaged. So, and it just talks about the resiliency of those people. So it's really just stories of our homeland. But also the title track, Go Back Home, talks about basically from when we were kids and how things were and how we lived and stuff like that. We as every small town unfortunately does, development becomes an issue for the locals. They for the sake of progress, they're bringing in businesses and tourism and this and that, and then your small town that was once home to 15,000 people is home to 50, 60, 70,000 people, and it's no longer a small town. And the small town vibe that everybody was looking for is no longer there. So go back home is basically saying that, I wish I could go back to those times when I was a kid, when things were a lot simpler, when things were a lot slower living, and it wasn't so developed. One of my favorite lines in that song, and Caleb was the he was the I guess you would the major writer on this. We all had a tribute to it, but he was the major writer on it. And in his line, he said, "When the church burned down, they built a Hampton Inn." So basically, it's like they're removing the old town values for the sake of financial gain, and that's kind of what we were talking about in that. And it was funny because I did an interview with a great lad, Jerry, a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about how that we're not exclusive to that is across the world, that even a little town in Germany, or a little town in Ireland, or a little town in Italy, they're all like that. That for the sake of progress, that these little towns become development areas. And so we wanted to basically reach out and say, "Hey, you're not alone. We see you and how things are going, and we know that you're not thrilled with it. So, and we want to say that, hey, we feel you. We're there with you." So, and so the title of the album kind of has a double meaning of, one, yes, it is the title track of the album, but it also is talking about stories from our homeland and where we're from, and how we grew up, and stories from our life. So it's multiple meanings in there that we thought about when we put that together there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am glad that the sales for the CDs or the vinyls are doing phenomenal, and it's good to see more and more people are doing vinyls again now, because they have come back in the trend, which is great to see, because everyone written them off, 20 or 30 years ago, how long it's been, and now all of a sudden, I guess people my age and older are now wanting to buy vinyls and buy physical items again, because they were saying about books, weren't they? Years ago, when these Amazon Kindles came, oh yeah, this is going to replace books, and there's many people in the world who prefer to have a physical book than a tablet reading it. So, and guess what, people? Books are still here. They're still making them. There's still bookshops, and I hope they'll be here for many, many more years to come. So, It just shows you that people do still prefer physical. That's CDs, vinyls, books, whatever it might be.
To me, vinyl records are the best way to listen to music. You can't beat the sound coming from a vinyl record. It's warm. You get the full grasp of the music. Like to me, it is the best way to listen to music. And like you said about books, I do not read digital books. All of the books that I'm reading are physical copies, and I've got a bookshelf full of my favorite authors and my favorite titles, and that's I like to read physical copies. You're not going to catch me with the digital handbook, but I am very, very old school though. That's just me though. I'm very I'm an old soul. I have been since I was 8 years old. My mom always said when I was 10, I was 40. So
good comparison. Not a problem at all, Wes. We did show your comments a few moments ago when my guest Greg was telling us that great story about the album. Got a split, have a call with the Reverend Boys. Great chat, and I'll catch up with the rest. So thanks for stopping by, Wes. So 2 more things for you, really, and then we'll wrap this up as well, because I know you're a very busy person, and I'm sure you got better things to do than chat about all about you. I'm sure you're getting a bit tired of chatting about you for.
Yeah.
I guess we want to talk about, of course, we mentioned before about the UK, about how special it is for you, but in general, the UK scene. What is about the UK scene which you guys are doing really well in at the moment, do you think? With all the numbers you're getting on the streaming and maybe in the physical sales as well. What do you make? What do you think it is of the UK that yes, that we fell in love with your kind of music?
I think that there's a want or a demand, whatever you want to call it, for the style of music that we're doing. And there, because and that was one of the things when we were discussing, working with Wes. Wes was very much like, there is a demand for this. There is a demand because it doesn't exist over here much. And we talked with a couple guys, we've talked with a couple PR people over there, a couple booking agents, touring folks, people who are neck deep in the game across the UK and Europe. And they're like, there is a demand and a need for this style of music. And I think that we've kind of landed in a spot that's unique, that folks they're like, hey, I like this. I like there's something familiar about it, but there's also something unfamiliar about it, and we dig that. And I think that that's what's attributing to the success of the streaming and the sales and all that stuff. I think that that's part of the reason why we found that our tour over there was such a success. We toured with Tom Kilner and his group, and Tom was phenomenal, just a super nice guy. His entire band was phenomenal. Rich and Cal and all those guys, we loved them. But they were kind of starting to bleed into what we're doing. They're starting to. There is a demand for that style of music. The Southern rock, outlaw country, whatever you want to call it. There is a demand for it that's not being met, and I think that's what's landed us in a unique position at this point in time. Like, you've got plenty of rock and rollers, which sign me up. I'm all about it. I love rock and roll, and you've got plenty of blues guys. Again, sign me up. I'm all about it. But I think that our brand of music is unique. It's got its own flavor to it. And I think that's what kind of helped build that out. So, not to say that tomorrow it'll be gone, but right now I feel like right now it's strong. So we're happy with it. And part of and I'll say this. I didn't say this a minute ago, but I will say part of the reason that we love the UK touring over there so much is because in the venues, you go in, you set up your gear. Everyone goes to the bar, they get a beer, they come stand on front of the stage. And then for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is you're playing, they're right there. They are so deep into the music and enjoying the show, and they don't move. Over here, we're competing with TVs and the pool tables and the games and the whatever they're doing. We have, you really don't feel like you're background noise at a lot of times. And so over there, it was very much like, hey, we're here to listen to you, and we're rocking out. And it was amazing. We not just the festival. We ended up at Call of the Wild, but across every venue we played, there were people who were so delved into our stuff that I would rather play to 10 people who were involved in the music and listening than 10,000 who wish I would shut up so they could watch the soccer match or the football game or whatever you want to call it. So, and that's me. And I think every artist probably feels the same way. But because we're trying to give you everything we got, we just want you to listen to what, and hopefully feel and reciprocate what we're giving you. That's all we can ask. That's the return. So, but that is part of the reason that we love the UK so much, and I feel like that's part of the reason that it's being well received over there, is because of the niche need for it. So, in my opinion, that of course that's been developed from across several PR guys and people who are in the industry. So,
well, it just shows you that the experts know what they're talking about, which is great to see. Got to mention as well. So, when did you realize, or say actually, that there was, I guess, a need from the UK? When did you see that, I guess, knife point going from, I guess, nobody listening in the UK to then all of a sudden people buying or streaming you on the different audio platforms? When can you remember when that first took off for you?
So there was a couple independent record labels that reached out to us about potentially doing distribution deals and stuff over there in the UK, and they said that this will do well over here with a good marketing plan. And we kind of took that and like, okay, maybe that's something, you know. And then our manager at the time kind of put us in contact with some folks to do some potentially looking at putting together a run of shows over there. And then when we started, then when we announced the tour,
Yeah.
then we started seeing a massive spike in our numbers, and those numbers haven't really fallen.
Good.
And that's where we're like, okay, so there is a demand for this. Well, then we started talking to a couple of people like John Hardcastle. You know, he helped do the Call of Wild and working with Tom Kilner. And we started talking with Wes, and we started talking with, you know, another guy named Peter. You know, there were several folks that were involved in this, and they're like, there is a need and a demand for this because based on what we're seeing, based on the numbers, how the market's shaping up, like there is becoming a sonic fatigue of the same music over and over and over being produced and released over and over and over. So there is a people's ears are getting tired. It's getting whatever, and they're like, this would be a fresh sound that we could promote heavily and it do well. And I thought that was cool, you know, that they were so open with us to say, hey, we feel like you guys got something cool that we can run with. And so we started diving in on that a little bit, you know, and kind of. But then when we started seeing some of the PR teams putting their work in and seeing what's coming from it, we were like, oh wow. So, you know, White Lightning PR, you've got Wes and his team. I mean, you're talking about, you know, these guys that they're working hard, and we're seeing the fruits of hours and their labor. And that's kind of where, you know, that's kind of how it's developed. It's went from, you know, basically somebody, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, a risk. Somebody took a risk and said, hey, we feel like there is a need for this, and ultimately it's panned out to determine that their thoughts were right. So yeah, I mean, of course it was a risk. You know, it was a risk that to put it out there and to put a lot of our resources towards that. But I think at this juncture, it is as good, if not better, than we could have expected. So, but yeah, I think that, you know, it's important. I think it's very important that we have those people behind us telling us, hey, this market is for you guys. So I think that's awesome, you know. And I don't know, but we developed a plan based on that, and that plan's kind of paid out well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, keep up the good work, Greg. All the best to you and Hush Money. And I
Thank
know
you.
you guys have a brilliant 2025. But before we let you go, one more question for you. Well, two more questions actually. One more about you, and then we'll turn it on to me. But one more question about you though. You know, we might have already brought this up, so you can say yes, we discussed this. But any particular goals for by the end of this year you want to hopefully achieve before 2025 is out? Because of course we're now at the start of April. You know, the new month is here, and you know what? We're already 4 months into the year. Can you believe that? Not much longer to go.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going by so fast, and I'm telling you, it goes by faster when you have kids. It doesn't slow down at all. But musically, goals for this year is to continue the writing process of the new material, of course, but it's also to go back home launched effectively, and so everyone can on a full scale hear it, you know, and that, you know, that's coming up sooner rather than later. But you know, it's just kind of continuing to grow. That's always is to continue our hard work, and continuing to grow our fan base and growing our people. So that's ultimately that's where we want to be at the end of this year. Personally, my, you know, is just to maintain growth and within myself, making sure that I maintain splitting a good work-life balance with my kids and my wife and stuff like that. You know, I'm coaching a little league baseball team, so you know, I help with that, and you know, I love it. You know, I'm helping my little girl. She's playing ball, so I love working with her, and and I don't know, man. I just personally, it's a continuation of my growth with the spiritually and being family within my family. So it's a continual growth there. So those are my goals for 2025. Now, you ask anybody else, they may tell you a little differently, but that's where I'm at personally right now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like that. Good goals to have.
Yeah,
It's always nice seeing what other people have got on their mind for this year. So
yep.
turning back onto me, as we're doing the show, got to talk about me a little bit. When Wes either told you that I was interested in you on the show, or that he told you that you're booked on this show, what was your response to Wes when he set up the contact between you and me to have you on the show? Did you do any googling? Did you do any digging of me to see if this guy was legit, or if his production values are absolute terrible? Like they have
So
been.
the first thing I do is go look at your numbers and determine how I'm playing. When Wes told me, he's like, hey, I've got you booked on this show. He's interested in you having you, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. Like I'm always ready, but in full disclosure, I don't do any research, and I know that a lot of people are like, that's why do you do that? I like the authenticity. I like the authenticity of the interview. I don't like for these scripted answers. I don't like this
Me too.
can yeah, I like to be real. And that's we have a slogan, and I'm not joking. We have a slogan within our band. It's called real music for real people. And we live by that. We live by that because we want to make music, real music that is emotionally connected, life connecting for people who want to feel those things, who want to be connected in real life. And so I don't do any research. I don't look up. I'm like, if Wes, I trust Wes with everything, probably more than I should. But if Wes says it's good, then I'm in. Like if Wes like that's a good bloke, then I'm in. And so we're 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 there. And so when he told me I was doing the interview, I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm ready. We did have to reschedule. And I do apologize for that
Oh
because
yes, because we were doing it the last month, weren't we? I think, and
yeah,
um,
my wife was in a pretty bad car wreck, and so she's been going through some stuff. She had surgery successfully about a week ago to do some cervical fusion on her neck and stuff like that. So I've been playing mom and dad and husband and doctor and nurse and everything else for about going on probably 13 or 14 weeks now. So we're but she's on the mend. She's getting better. And so I told Wes, I said, by that day, she'll be about a week and a half out of her surgery. So she should be okay to sustain for a little bit. And of course, she's a lot stronger than I am. I'll tell you that. She's a lot stronger than I am. So, but I'm thankful to be here, man. I'm thankful to have the opportunity to talk about our music, about who we are, and have a different experience. So, yeah, I was thoroughly pumped about anybody who wants to talk about our music and talk to us, and whether it be me or the rest of the guys, I don't care. I'm just glad somebody cares. so, so
I'm
it's
glad that we found a common thing in common there, because of course you love authentic, I love authentic, and I have to be honest with you as well. That
yeah.
usually on this show, people say, "Wow, you do a lot of prepping on this show." I'm like, I don't, I don't. I do zills, zills.
Good,
The only thing
good.
I do is whatever I get sent, from when I'm on the show, if they got something to promote, that's all I'm given. Everything else is free living. That's
Yep,
it. So people say, "Wow, you do a very
good.
good job at researching and all this." I'm like, no, I don't. I look on your social media, and that's it. I don't go on Googling or anything like that. Sorry to disappoint everybody, but that's probably why my show only got 297 subscribers. If I did put a bit of effort in, it might have 5,000 subscribers now. Who knows? But that's the way I roll. I think it works quite well. I don't know, but yeah. I hope you are come back on the show again soon, Greg, because you're more than welcome to come back, as long as I've not made a bad
Thank you.
impression on you from what Wes has sent you, saying, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy," or his content's very good, but after today, not so good. But I got to mention though that I have recently moved over because I was using a different device to do the show on, and I wanted to do a bit of a change because what I used to do was I used this other device to do the show live, and then I used to go on this computer, because I'm talking to you on now, to do all the editing and all of that, and usually take me about 2 or 3 hours to do so, but to hopefully speed up a bit of process, I can literally go from this straight into editing to get a clip out, and it should save me an hour, hopefully, by doing it all on one place. That's the reason why. So I'm getting some things sorted, because the last time I did this live episode last week, I did it via Zoom, but I didn't like how it came out because I did it through Zoom on YouTube, and instead of being like on YouTube, it looks like we can see each other on YouTube. Obviously we can, but on YouTube there's like a split screen basically, where you got me on one side and you on the other side of my and people can see us both on the screen at the same time. Where on the one I was doing last week through Zoom, when I talked it just showed me, when my guest was talking it just showed them, and I don't like that. So that's why I'm now using my actual software, OBS, to broadcast this live show, and there's been a bit issues with buffering and whatnot, so that will be fixed for the next episode of mine. That's what I will admit to you today. When if you do go back and watch this back and think, oh my god, what happened there, I just want to owe up to my errors, because not only am I the host here, I'm also the producer, the director, the editor, the graphics creator. I wear a lot of hats. So one man band.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's been a pleasure though having you on my show.
This has been great, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome. And of course, you mentioned about Tom as well, who you've toured with. He's been on this show as well. Great guy, great music. I have to say, we love his music. When I advertised the music on my social media, I absolutely loved the tune I chose for it, and that has to be my favorite song of his so far. I can't remember what it was called, but I will put it out there. It was fantastic enough that I used it 3 times.
Was it Light It Up?
I think it was.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, those guys jamming that live, that's an experience, man. That's an experience. Yeah. Those guys have got it together.
They do, don't they?
Dude, I'm telling you.
They do.
I talk to it's crazy. It's been almost a year since we've been over there, and I still talk to those guys pretty regularly.
That's cool.
Yeah. I got connected with Rich. He's the drummer, and me and him talk through Instagram a lot. So he's a good dude.
That's awesome. And speaking about social media as well, please do let my listeners and viewers know where they can find yourself and the band across social media.
You can find us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can go to our website at hushmoneyband.com, and we'll give you all the links to all of our social media is floating there. You can find our tour schedule, you can find our merchandising, you can find all our new videos and all our music. So, of course, we're on Spotify, Apple, all the streaming platforms, anything that you can name. So anywhere you want us to be, that's where we're at. So you can find us anywhere.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And the final thought for you as well. Any final thoughts that you think that you should mention, which I've not mentioned, and you think is very important to get off your chest?
Yes, I want to thank, like I said earlier, I thank our family for the support. I thank the fans for the support. Thank God for giving us the ability to go out there and do this every day. And I just want everyone to, we say this at the end of every show that we play, just be kind to each other. It's the right thing to do. And that's kind of what I want to leave on is, be good to each other. And it's, it's a crazy world, so we got to stick together. So, and I think as we progress, we will, again, I just thank God for everything that we've been able to accomplish and everything we do. So that's important for me.
Yeah. That's a good way to end the episode there. Thank you who actually live chatted with us as well. We got the live chat to work. We've got live graphics. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the new graphics. Do you like them? Do you not like them? That's the way we can now interact even quicker with our live audience as well when you guys tune in. Make sure to as well share the video around. Tell everybody about Greg and Hush Money. Let them know that they are a brilliant band. Take them out on all platforms. Buy some of their albums or singles, even the CD or vinyls through our. What's the lovely lady called again? I have forgotten the name of her.
Cindy Webb in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Cindy Webb from Big Frog Music.
Yeah, Cindy. Good old Cindy. Shout out to Cindy. Make sure to support her by buying the albums as singles. And if you buy one which has Cindy on the back of, then she might even sign it.
She might.
There you go.
You never know about it. She may just take it, may get a little bald hair and start signing things that nobody's asked for too.
Love it. But it's been a pleasure being on the show. And if you like the episode, make sure to smash the like button on YouTube. Share the video around. Tell more about this. Help me to get to my goal of 300 subscribers. We have linked, of course, Hush Money's YouTube channel in the description below as well. We tagged them, so you might got a little notification to say that Edward Fowler has tagged you in this video, and I have done. So it makes it easier for my listeners and viewers to find you on YouTube as well if they want to check out your music directly after this video. If you're new around here and like my content, make sure to smash that subscribe button. I just mentioned we've got over 297 subscribers, only a few away from that magical 300. So help me to get to that magic number today. Maybe Greg can push the word around to get some of his fans or his band members to smash that subscribe button to help to get the 300 subscribers. And you know, on this show we feature musicians, actors, comedians, wrestlers, bare knuckle fighters, MMA fighters, you name it, we cover it all. It's basically a random variety show that I can do pretty much any topic and it'll be a good conversation. But until the next episode drops, whenever that might be, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon or evening.